Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, let me start this video by serenading you with a little bit of music. So here it goes. Sorry seems to be the hardest words. So now guys, I promise never to do that again, and I have destroyed my application to Nigeria Has Got Talent. As guys, I bring you this. Soyinka backs Obasanjo, says Nigeria divided like never before under Buhari. So now you already can tell then why I started with that particular serenade, with that particular music, or my attempt at singing. So the reason why I did that, of course, is that sorry really should be the first words that should be coming out of the mouth of Soyinka and Obasanjo, because these are the two elements above everybody else outside of Tinubu that championed the Buhari cause to foist him upon the Nigerian state in 2015, and the repercussions now is what we're suffering. So sorry should be the first words coming out of those mouths, the Obasanjo and Soyinka mouths, and that sorry should be in the Idobale position. Yes, they're elderly men, but they should still be in the Idobale position, apologizing especially to the southern regions, and by extension the entirety of the Nigerian state, for foisting this brutal malami called Buhari on our nation. So again, the headline: Soyinka backs Obasanjo, says Nigeria divided like never before under Buhari. So now let's now see how Prof explains this. Elder statesman and playwright Professor Wole Soyinka has said the country is more divided as never before under the current administration of Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired. Soyinka, in a statement signed by his autonomous residence of Ijegba Idiaba Estate, Abeokuta, Ogun State, on Tuesday, titled "Between Divider-in-Chief and Divider-in-Law," said though not a fan of ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo, but embraced any accurate reading of this nation as a contraption teetering on the edge of total collapse. Obasanjo last week said the country was slowly becoming a failed state and more divided under Buhari regime, but the presidency reacted to the comment by describing the ex-president as a divider-in-chief. Soyinka said, "I am notoriously no fan of Olusegun Obasanjo, general, twice former president, and co-architect of other past leaders of the crumbling edifice that is still generously called Nigeria. I have no reason to change my stance on his record. Nonetheless, I embrace the responsibility of calling attention to any accurate reading of this nation from whatever source as a contraption teetering on the very edge of total collapse. We are close to extinction as a viable committee of people supposedly bound together under an equitable set of protocols of cohabitation, capable of producing its own means of existence and devoid of any culture of sectarian privilege and will to dominate." So prepare yourselves for heavy words, because of course these are Wole Soyinka's words, and Wole Soyinka's words usually comes with a dose of, at least you have to have the paracetamol on the ready, because he usually gives you a headache. We continue. The Nobel laureate stated that on Africa Day, May 2019, organized by the United Bank of Africa, he similarly seized an opening to direct the attention of this government to warnings by the otter farmer over the self-destruct turn that the nation has taken, urging the wisdom of heeding the message even whilst remaining chary of the messenger. The Akogun of Isara, so that is probably some chieftaincy title that Soyinka has been given. The Akogun of Isara said that the advice appears to have fallen on deaf ears in place of reasoned response and openness to some serious dialogue. What this nation has been obliged to endure has been insolent distractions from the garrulous and cursed functionaries, apologists, and sectarian opportunists. The nation is divided as never before, and this ripping division has taken place under the policies and conduct of none other than President Buhari. Does that claim belong in the realms of speculation? Does anyone deny that it was this president who went to sleep whilst communities were constantly ravaged by cattle marauders, were raped and displaced in their thousands, and turned into beggars all over the landscape? Was it a different president who, on being finally persuaded to visit a scene of carnage, had nothing more authoritative to offer than to advise the traumatized victims to learn to live peacefully with their violators? And what happened to the police chief who had defied orders from his commander-in-chief to relocate fully to the trouble spot? He came, he saw, and bolted, leaving the natives to their own devices. Any disciplinary action taken against the countryman? Was it a spokesman from some ghost president who chortled in those early yet controllable stages of now systemized mayhem, gleefully dismissed the mass burial of victims in Benue State as a staged show for international entertainment? Did the other half of the presidential megaphone not follow up, or was it preceded with the wisdom that they, the brutalized citizenry, should learn to bow under the yoke and negotiate, since only the living can enjoy the dividends of legal rights? So this is now Wole Soyinka's words. As I said, they're always heavy going because he never just says hello. He likes to elaborate because he thinks he has to be a Nobel laureate every time he opens his mouth. And you don't, by the way. Professor Wole Soyinka, sir, I'm in the Dobale position. You don't have to be highfalutin every time you speak. You can just answer directly and in simple language, because of course you have already won the Nobel laureate prize, so you are already celebrated, so you don't then have to continue to impress with this just heavy going words. Every single conversation with Wole Soyinka, you have to bring out a dictionary. It is not necessary. You know the population of the country that you live in, and you know the literacy level. So just speak to a language that can be understood. You don't have to have an interpreter to interpret to an interpreter to interpret to an interpreter to then explain it to the common man on the street. It's just too heavy going. So I've always had issues about the way the prof speaks. It doesn't have to go heavy duty all of the time. I love the man, I love his work, but really, going back to the substance of it, it is a real catalog. The way the prof has sequenced it is just a complete bastardization of the Nigerian state. The only thing that Malam Buhari does, as far as I can see, and this is right from day one, because when the Buhari regime came into power, I have been monitoring them all the way through from the very moment from 2015 when they came into power. I have been monitoring them, and when they eventually decided to start forming a government and they were announcing functionaries of that government that they were intending to form, I was listening very closely, because remember there was a 6-month build-up to them forming a government, and the explanation throughout that period was that they were trying to identify the best of the best so that the best can then be then used to serve the nation. And this really seemed to calm people down to say, okay, if they are, because it doesn't really take 6 months, by the way, to find the best of the best in Nigeria. All the best names are known, but then they took that long, and then you were then waiting to see who they were going to announce. And every time that you switched on the television station to see who was doing what, all you heard was Abubakar, Abdul, Mohammedu, Ishaku, and all of these, all these heavy duty Malami names. So, and then when they list about 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 Malami names, and then they'll say, and yes, the chef, the head kitchen boy, Adebayo, Faleti, and then they go again and roll another set of Malamis, another 50, and then they will say, oh, the gardener, Uchenna, Okechukwu, this is what they did, and it's pretty much now this bias. So now I am saying this, of course, as something that you already know, but the real reason why I am saying it is that what Malam Buhari did, or should I say Abba Kyari, because of course Malam Buhari is just a dumb figurehead. So what Abakari did was to surround the entirety of the Nigerian space, because forget the 200 million Nigerians that they are telling you exist. The Nigerian state is actually no more than 20 people. The Nigerian state is no more than who controls the oil fields. So the petroleum guy, the guy that controls the petroleum, that's the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state is the army chief. The Nigerian state is the police chief. The Nigerian state is the national security advisor. The Nigerian state is the DSS. The Nigerian state is the central bank person, and that is essentially who Nigeria is. So if you look at that, then that is all that is Nigeria. The president, who has the first and final decision, the military guy who controls all the guns, the police guy who controls all the streets, and the finance minister who controls the money, and the petroleum minister who controls the source of the money. So that is Nigeria. There's nothing else, apart from that 5-7 positions, that is Nigeria. So outside of that, nothing else happens, because of course, if you take to the streets, the military guy and the army guy will just roll out a bunch of armored whatever, and just you saw what happened to Nnamdi Kanu anyway in his own hometown. So you already see the example, and you saw what happened to Sowore too. So you know, if you know Nigeria, then you know already how the military or the security structures operate. So they have that on lockdown. The petroleum minister, by the way, is Buhari himself, because he's giving himself that portfolio right from 2015, and he retains it till date. So that's just Nigeria. So nothing else outside of those offices. And then you add, of course, the not so much even the Minister of Justice, but the Chief Justice of the Federation, who is another. So if you have those 7, maybe 8 positions at the most under your control, as directly, almost in a symbiotic being as yourself, if you have that, then that is really Nigeria. So you can forget the 200 million odd people, because you have control of them. If any community takes to the streets and you roll out a troop or two to go and discipline, if they take down 100, if they take down 1,000 of them, they take them down. But by the time they've taken down 1,000 of them, every other person will sit in their house thinking that, look, me, I can't go and chop bullet, or so that's just it. And they understand that. And Nigerians, especially the southern regions, they are quite I wouldn't say cowardly, but they are quite meek in their manner. They make a lot of noise, but they would not take a lot of risks. And these people, they understand this, because of course, if the oil in Nigeria was in the northern parts, Nigeria would have ceased being an entity some 30, 40, 50 years ago. So that is all they are interested in, and they know that if they lock it, what I would suggest to a lot of you guys actually, and I will recommend this highly to a lot of people listening to this particular video, go on Amazon and get yourself a book. It's only a small book called The Prince by a chap called Nicole Lee Machiavelli. And if you read that book, then you have a better grasp of how these things are being done. So now, conversations in the comment section. I don't want to labor this video for too long, but I just wanted to highlight the hypocrisy of the likes of Soyinka and Obasanjo, etc., who haven't foisted. And remember, by the way, there was some footballer in the build-up to 2015 when people were complaining that Buhari does not even have school start, and the guy was saying even if it was NEPA bill, he still wants Buhari to replace Goodluck Jonathan. So whoever that footballer is, my question to you now is, how market, my brother? How market now? Now you have seen it. Conversations in the comment section. Come join me and share thoughts. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on like as well because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done the clickings, come join me in the comment section. Come tell me now what you're making of what the prof is saying. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here, I say, peace.